ancient kingdom of Thaloria, where emerald hills rolled like waves under a perpetual azure sky, a girl named Elara was born in a mud-thatched hut on the outskirts of the capital, Etheron. Her parents were humble weavers, eking out a living from flax fields scorched by relentless suns. But fate, that capricious spinner, wove tragedy into their threads. When Elara was 7, a blight ravaged the crops, plunging her family into debt. Desperate creditors seized their home. And in a heart-wrenching auction under the shadow of the royal palace, Elara was sold into slavery for a handful of silver coins. Her cries echoed as chains bound her tiny wrists, marking the end of innocence. Thaloria's slaves toiled in the underbelly of grandeur. Elara was assigned to the palace kitchens, a sweltering labyrinth of roaring fires and clanging pots. From dawn's first light to midnight's hush, she scrubbed floors, peeled roots, and endured the lashes of overseers who saw her as less than human. Her hands calloused like old leather, her back bent under heavy loads. Whispers of freedom were crushed under the weight of reality. Escape meant death by the king's hounds. Yet in stolen moments, Elara clung to memories of her mother's lullabies, dreaming of stars that promised more. Years blurred into a monotonous haze. At 15, Elara's beauty bloomed like a desert flower, raven hair cascading like midnight rivers, eyes the color of storm-tossed seas. But it was her mind that sparkled brightest. She eavesdropped on courtiers' gossip while serving platters, piecing together the kingdom's secrets. Thaloria teetered on ruin. King Vortigern, a widower with no heir, faced rebellion from the northern barons, who plotted to overthrow him and install a puppet ruler. The palace buzzed with intrigue, but none suspected a slave's keen ears. One fateful night, during the Festival of Moons, Elara was tasked with delivering spiced wine to the royal chambers. Hidden behind a tapestry, she overheard Baron Draven and his conspirators in hushed tones. The poison in the king's goblet will end his line tonight. With no successor, the throne is ours. Her heart pounded like a war drum. Risking everything, she slipped away and sought out Captain Lyle, the loyal guard commander, whom she'd once mended a torn cloak for in secret kindness. "Treason brews," she whispered, revealing the plot with trembling precision. Skeptical at first, Lyle investigated. Guards stormed the chambers just as the king raised the tainted cup. Chaos erupted, swords clashed, traitors fell. King Vortigern, saved by moments, demanded to know his savior. Elara was dragged before him, chains rattling, head bowed. "A slave," he marveled, his voice thunderous yet grateful. "What reward do you seek, child?" "I seek nothing but justice for the forgotten," Elara replied boldly, her voice steady despite fear. The court gasped. Slaves did not speak thus. But Vortigern, childless and weary, saw fire in her eyes, a spark mirroring his late queen's spirit. He ordered her unchained and investigated her origins. What unfolded shocked the kingdom. Elara's mother, long deceased, had been a palace handmaid years ago, sharing a forbidden night with the young Prince Vortigern during a masked ball. Elara bore a faint crescent birthmark on her shoulder, identical to the royal insignia, a mark of lineage hidden by her humble birth. Proof came from old records and a midwife's confession. Elara was no commoner. She was the king's illegitimate daughter, born in secrecy to avoid scandal. The revelation rippled through Thaloria like a tidal wave. Vortigern, facing his mortality, legitimized her on the spot. "From chains you rise," he proclaimed in the grand hall, "to wear the crown's light." Elara's transformation was swift and surreal. Tutors swarmed, teaching her etiquette, history, and strategy. She traded rags for silken gowns embroidered with gold thread, her calloused hands softened by oils. Yet, she never forgot her roots. As princess, she reformed the kingdom, abolishing child slavery, establishing fair debts, and creating academies for the poor. The barons, quelled by her father's iron fist and her diplomatic wit, bent the knee, but power's crown weighed heavy. Suitors flocked, seeing only her title, not the scars beneath. Elara navigated court politics with the cunning honed in kitchens, forging alliances that strengthened Thaloria against external foes. When Vortigern passed peacefully in his sleep, Elara ascended as queen, her coronation a blend of pomp and humility. Slaves freed that day danced in the streets. Under her rule, Thaloria flourished. Fields bloomed anew with irrigation she designed from overheard scholarly talks. Justice prevailed, for she remembered injustice's sting. Elara married a scholar, not a noble. birthing heirs who knew both palace halls and common hearths. Her story became legend, the slave who shattered chains, proving that destiny bends to the bold.